What it do, baby? We did it!
Look at us.
Light it up, baby! He's gone! This is Dave Gleckner, Marc Tomasini from Fourth and Go, and we're doing a little 2-minute, we're going to lie. It's going to be a little more than 2 minutes today as we celebrate the departure of Ben Simmons, the arrival of James Harden, the big trade that just took place, why we're excited, and who won, and what the grade ratings are, or what the trade grades are. Let's get into it all. I'm Dave Gleckner. That's Marc Tomasini. How you feeling, brother?
What up? What up? You know what it is. It's a winning Thursday, even though that's not a thing, but it is for us because James Harden is a Philadelphia 76er. Trust the process. It happened. I'm happier today than I was for the Jimmy Butler day. And don't get me wrong, I love that day and I love Jimmy Butler, but this is what we needed. And we have Joel playing his best basketball and finally a true bona fide star who could score. I mean, couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, the news was great, right? And last night, what did I tell you? Where was I? 90, 95%? I was as high as could be. I did feel like it was going to get done. I felt like Drummond was going to be a piece. I thought it'd probably be Seth Curry. I didn't think we'd have to add a pick or two as well. But that, it's pick 28. You win it all, it's pick 30. Who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll give it away this year. That's fine. They can have what they want. Getting it back Millsap was real interesting to me because to me at first it looked like, okay, that's maybe the Tobias, backup. But I think they're going to roll in and use Millsap as an Embiid backup. What do you think about that?
He's a little undersized for that, but I think at this point that's kind of where we're at because your other option right now is Charles Bassey
or Paul Reed.
Paul Reed, yeah.
Oh, probably Bassey. He's getting more time. I agree.
Bassey, for whatever reason, Bassey gets more NBA minutes, even though Paul Reed was last year's MVP of the G League. And, he's still playing really well down there with the Blue Coats. But I think that's it's going to be, and I think they're going to scour the buyout market, see what happens. I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, something that was, came up was Ennis Freedom Cantor. I'm just saying, I don't know what.
No, I mean, it's a body. I'm with you.
I think there's other options out there, but, we'll see.
So this is the part that, I'm so ecstatic about. And I know today people are probably, happy for a lot of things. But for me, it's the era of number 25 is over. He's gone.
Yes.
That black cloud, that, that weight that was hanging on all of us, whatever Embiid had to, endure with all these interviews about, well, would you accept them back? Have you talked to them? Have you all of that garbage is gone. And that's really what I'm more excited about. People can write. I saw ESPN today give a grade for C+ for the Sixers on this trade. I saw another Stephen A. Smith thinks this could be Daryl Morey's grade. He thinks
worst
he's almost target for himself. I think they're totally off base on this. What they realize, but they probably don't absorb by living in the city and understanding that is Ben Simmons had to go, and he had to go now. And to be able to pull a potential top 5, top 10 NBA player back and only give away Seth Curry, who's been playing on one leg and shot 1 for 9 the other night, really has been deteriorating. And Andre Drummond, who was on a 1-year contract and some garbage picks, that's what you had to give away. You think that was exorbitant? We didn't give away Maxey. We didn't give away Tybalt. And, for what it's worth, no Niang, no Green. Green can be your just guy sitting in the corner. You might not need a Seth Curry if you have the ball movement like you do and place Danny Green out there. So I think they're way off base on this. I think the Sixers actually probably got about as much as they could out of this and given away as little as they could. I'm very, very happy with the package that was sent out.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. You kept Maxey, you kept Thybulle, and everybody was saying they made it clear a couple of days ago that Maxey wasn't even reportedly close to being in this. So that was already a good thing right there. To see that Daryl didn't get too crazy because he has been laser focused on James Harden, that he didn't, want to move Maxey. And then even when I saw that it came out that Thybulle was not going to be shipped either, I think it was like, they sent the message. And like the report this morning when Woj, who has been very skeptical to say anything, all of a sudden says Harden doesn't want to be there, but he doesn't want to formally request a trade. That was all the bargaining chips were out in Nets' favor. That was it. That was end all be all when it comes out of him. So it was only a matter of time. Like I said, at the point where they're still talking about, Thybulle is, what's holding up the process. I said add Drummond and a first and another first. And I think that's essentially what happened. That's, they do have to scour the buyout market. There's going to be a couple guards out there, to be a backup ball handler that maybe they can get a hold of one. And we'll just have to see where we go from there. But the Sixers ending up with, look, my thing was I needed this done at the deadline. Because honestly, this is your best shot. We'll see what happens next year, but you can't rely on next year. What if another team makes space and they lure him there? Like, you had to do this now. Joe's playing at his best. You had to get Simmons out of there because you weren't going to go anywhere this year. And we don't know what next year is going to bring. You had to do it.
I agree. And I think the key here is Harden opting into his player option for next year, because that allowed them a little financial freedom to keep Tobias. I thought, for them to be able to offer the Supermax, they did have to free up a little additional room. But with him opting in, you can actually hold on to Tobias until the offseason. I do think Tobias gets moved in the offseason. I think he goes to a dumpster fire like OKC, who can absorb the money and then, buy him out potentially and let him go somewhere, like a lot of teams have done. So I think that was a big key to the Sixers in this trade too, that a lot of people really aren't, focusing on, because I did think the next shoe would drop and Tobias was going until I saw Harden opted in, which I think is it really is a big move. It shows a commitment. You're giving away pieces, but you're getting at least a year and a half. What happens after that does scare me with Harden, and I will tell you this much: I have concerns about James Harden. I do, because of how he's played in the playoffs and his conditioning aspect. But when you have an accountability partner like Embiid that probably hasn't challenged him quite like others. I know he's had the Westbrook, but that Westbrook's a little distant. Durant's right there next to him, but they're about the same. Embiid's going to get in him, and Embiid's going to tell him how important it is, whose city this is. It's Embiid's. And I think Harden's going to respond, and I think Harden has no other choice but to respond, because of that point you made today. He didn't want to stir up anything. He wanted out, but didn't want to stir it up. He's got something to prove. A lot of people are out there going to be hating on him, especially a lot of New Yorkers and a lot of other people, because he just can't win. I think this is big for him over the next year and a half. If he wants to earn that Supermax deal and he wants to show that everything I've done before is not it was before, but now I'm with the guy I wanted to be with, and I can do this. He's got a lot to prove, and I think he's going to play his butt off. I really think, it was funny, and you tell me if you remember this. When he was in Houston looking like 10 cheeseburgers short of a dozen, he was like big, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Like, as soon as he got to Brooklyn, he looked skinny. Like, it was
it was within a couple days.
Yeah.
Like he lost 25, 30 pounds, or he had a fat suit on or something. Because he looked in great shape the moment he first put on a Nets warm-up, practice clothes. He all of a sudden was ripped, skinny,
That's happening here. I think he's going to come in and be like, boom, boom, I'm in shape, baby. Let's get them Shirley Temples.
He knew what he was doing. Look, it's not the thing. It's not the greatest way to go about things, but it happened for whatever reason. All this went into hand the way that it did. Now the thing is, him opting into that deal was humongous in my opinion, because honestly, you got ESPN saying they're like the potential $220 to $280 million deal over 5 years that Harden is looking at for that third Supermax or whatever. That's a lot. That's a tall hand to order, and it's almost like one of those things where if he didn't opt into that deal, then all of a sudden this offseason would have been, what's he going to do? Is he going to re-sign with the Sixers, or is he going to go somewhere else?
Yep.
Him opting into that deal is perfect, especially with the haul that they gave up, because they didn't have to give up Maxey or Matisse. If he's gone at the end of next year and it didn't work out, then so be it. Yes, you paid him $47 million for 1 year, but now you don't lock yourself into him when you don't know. You didn't have to do that this year. If you want to go down that road later, and Morey might, that's fine. But at least you'll have some kind of resume and body of work to say it's worth him giving him that money, especially if him and Joel get. I'm good with them doing that deal, but they have a year and a half to assess the situation. I think this couldn't have worked out more perfectly. This really couldn't have.
Yeah, you're right. So think about it. Hey, year and a half, you're not mixing with Joel. We got to move on. Well, I just freed up $40 million in cap space. I just developed Maxey and Tybalt. They're new, really going to be that much better, that much more desirable a year and a half from now. I can bring in the next superstar for James Harden, right? I can do some sign and trade packages. So I do think there's some value in understanding that opt-in was a key piece of this trade. And I think that's a big move. And we're going to see a lot of, hopefully we see a lot of stories and people starting to look into it. Tim Legler was just on ESPN and said, he has concerns about Harden long-term down the road, but absolutely 1,000%. The Sixers got so much better. They got a star, they got a stud, and something that you couldn't really anticipate early in the season when they were talking about Lillard, and this guy's better than Lillard. We love Dame, but he's better. And then is he better than Beal? That's probably a little bit argumentative there. It's close, and he is, but at Beal's age, you never know. But they got almost as good as they could, and that's what we got to realize. So let me ask you this. What kind of grade do you give this trade today?
I mean, it's hard. I'm going to be biased because I'm a Sixers fan, but honestly, I give this an A. I'm not going to say an A+ because we did. Because we had to give a little bit to get, but that's the way it goes, to give to get. Like, Ben Simmons wasn't playing for us, and honestly, there were so many people clamoring for them to just do it for CJ McCollum. I mean, I wasn't clamoring for it to happen, but I thought that was a realistic possibility in the summer and earlier this year. You get something like that. I mean, the Halliburton thing would have been great, but I mean, the impact that you have right now with James Harden and the fact that he opted into the deal, it works, and you just have a bona fide star. You have somebody who's ready and who's gearing. And look, this is maybe one of his last 2 shots to get a title, to beat for Harden in his prime, even though his numbers have been on the decline. And for him and Embiid to have that pick and roll game, to have that. Embiid finally has a pure scoring guard with him for the first time in his career. Jimmy Butler was great and all, but Harden is that pure scorer that you've always wanted and needed. Jimmy was more of a grit guy, more of a 3-and-D guy, more of a wing, can play defense. And we're lacking defense. I get that. But we still have Matisse. And honestly, I would love to see Matisse get put into that starting lineup. Now you can afford to have him because he's not as much of an offensive liability because you have Embiid on one end and Harden on the other. You got scoring from top to bottom. You can afford to have Thibault in there as a starter and get him some more defensive minutes.
So I'm going A-. A little bit of the, a little bit of the carrying and things, get me down a little bit. But listen, who's better, James Harden or Ben Simmons? Who's the better basketball player?
Right, James Harden all day, every day.
James Harden. So you're going to have to give a little bit, like you said, to get a little bit. Business is business. And what do we got to say here is I'll give it an A-. And a lot of the points you hit on, I agree. Thibault should be in the starting line, and I think Danny Green should as well. Stretch the floor, put Thibault in one corner, Danny in the other, let Tobias play the block on the opposite Embiid, run the high pick roll, and you have floor spacing like you've never had. Thibault is a good spot-up shooter. We saw him make a couple the other night. It's off the dribble, off the bounce, not great. But now you have Danny Green's defense, which is solid. He'll get torched by Trae Young and some other people, but you can put Thibault on him now. I just think that's the ideal starting lineup. Bring Maxey off the bench and mix him in at the right times. Maybe give Harden a rest at 6 minutes. Let Maxey run it for the next 6 or 8. I think it's going to really work out well. They have depth. The team looks good, man, and I'm real excited for this. Morey, I begged, I pleaded, I put tweets out. We talked last night. Get it done, and you got it done. You got who you wanted. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I think you won this deal. Marc thinks you won this deal. And now let's go get it done on the court.
And let's go get Dennis Schroeder or Goran Dragic, somebody off the buyout.
I would like that.
I think Dragic is probably going to end up going to Dallas because there's been too much smoke and noise. But if they can persuade him to come here, that would be a great backup point guard. Because honestly, for me, I know you said that you would have Green starting, but I would love Danny Green off the bench. And you put Maxey in there, but we'll see. Would you have Danny as the other guard then?
Well,
right?
Yeah, I guess I would. Yeah. I mean, Harden's going to dominate, bringing it up, but
and he's going to hold the ball. He's going to be the ball dominant. I get that.
And that's what I'm saying. I'd probably stick Danny and Thibault right in the corners. Maybe an extended foul line a little bit, but if you're going to run high pick and roll, you don't need wings. You need them buried out there so you can get floor spacing. So it'll be interesting. Embiid's not ever really ran pick and roll, so I think he has some of the most in opportunities. He's rolled the basket 16 out of every 100 attempts. So it's not often. It's going to happen a lot more. They got to get that that rhythm set. So you might be right at first that they mix in the Maxey with it and probably Tybal in that starting lineup and bring Green off the bench. But we'll see. It all depends on spacing to me.
Yes. But we got it. We got it.
We got it, bud. We got it. And hey, I will end with this. I probably would have preferred maybe another package out there that you could have really got a handful of other things in Sacramento. I'll still look back at in a couple of years and say, but outside of that, you got as good as you could. I know your eyes were set on the prize, and I know that you've had the history with James Harden, so I get it. I get it. You know the inside circle's a little better than me. I'm just seeing, some of the, stuff out there. I probably would have liked a little bit more well-rounded and younger player back, but if it's here and now and it's a chance to win this title, I get it. And he gives you the better chance than what I could have got anywhere else. And I'm ready to roll. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
2 games this weekend, and I guarantee you he plays both.
Yeah, I mean, the real immediate need was with James Harden, where Halliburton is if you have more patience.
Yes. Yep.
But the time is now. Right while it's hot. Let's go.
We did it. Can't wait. Hey, that's 15 minutes square for you guys. Let's pop them. I'll definitely have one later tonight after I get done some hoops games of my own, coaching some hoops. I'm going to be pumped up. Maybe I'll run a little high pick and roll myself. And beard to the process. Let's rock. But until then, we are 4th and Go every Wednesday here on Heat Ratio Sports. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm Dave Guckman. That's Marc Tomasini. Maybe you'll even see us a little later talking more Sixers. But until then, we're deuces. Go Sixers! Here we go, everybody.